We're back. This is the habitual ritual, recreational or medicinal. It's the come up cosmic quadrill of backhanded. You want to play a little?
Listen, I want Joey to play.
Oh, I'm not ready. Please,
Carry
I'll
the
go another day.
weight.
I like the five finger. No, I'm a little rusty right now. You got this. Please, I'll go tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
Are we in a castle? Far away.
Manic Monday.
Manic Monday.
For the maniacs. Where the maniacs at?
Yeah. Honor
Hello.
the maniac inside you. We all have a little maniac inside of us, don't we?
Absolutely.
Keep that fucker caged up.
Especially during Scorpio
No.
season.
Yeah?
Motherfucker wants to show its face.
Your little inner maniac.
Yeah.
That's
all of our ugly heads
like a
rearing their faces, you know.
Bipolar child you have inside you at all
Yeah.
times.
What
Ugly
Mare was
heads.
saying about scorpions and how they, what was it, in a ring of fire, they're more likely to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, commit suicide than try and escape and go through the fire because they'd rather die by their own hand than be defeated by something.
Jesus.
That's a maniac if
God,
I ever heard one.
Sound petty to me. It is funny when you have like those animals and the instincts that say so much about it. Like the monkeys, like how they capture these certain monkeys is they'll put a piece of food in there, like a mango, and they'll go to reach it, and it's a hole big enough just for their hand to get in. But when it's grabbing something, they can't get out, and they won't let go. So they won't let go of it. So much so that even when a poacher's coming like at them, they're still thinking about getting that, and that's how they catch the monkeys.
Wow.
It's interesting.
I think we have that instinct inside of us too.
It's
You
very,
know,
totally.
the clinging to life.
Yeah,
That's
so
good. That's a good metaphor
desperately.
for sure. Florence Welch has one of my favorite lyrics ever, which is, give me hands to pray with, not ones that hold too tightly.
Oh, that's good.
That's a good one.
Hold on loosely.
I love Florence Welch. Shout out to her.
You know, you reference her as one of your favorite songwriters all the
Yeah, I
time, and I'm
think
like, we don't listen to it though. We gotta.
Yeah,
I
it's
gotta
not really
put
your
that-
vibe.
No.
No, it's not really your vibe.
Damn.
I mean, I was just listening to her last album a couple days ago before I saw you guys. It's so good. Yeah, I think she's easily, by kind of like a long shot, one of the best writers of the 21st century. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah.
There's
got it going on.
There's a steep drop off. You know,
With songwriters?
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the 20th century.
Well, we were
to
just
the
talking about
21st.
Bob Dylan this
Yeah.
morning and Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground because we just
Yeah.
watched that amazing documentary about them.
Yeah.
Thinking about a lot of good writers recently.
Yeah, like Bob Dylan is obviously like not just a once in a generation; he's a once in a many generation type of
Yeah.
artist. So is Lou Reed and like
Yeah.
Leonard Cohen, and they're all doing their thing at the same time. Paul Simon,
Yeah.
Joni Mitchell.
It's interesting how art comes in waves like that with groups of
Yeah.
people. You know, there's like space times where it just seems like there's like a cauldron of inspiration or something that gets
Yeah.
people to like another dimension or another level, but it takes them kind of like knowing each other.
They all had Saturn in the same house or something.
I think it's like a reflection of the society. So like again, the art that comes out of it is an obvious reflection of the society. And again, like during those times, 60s, 70s, 80s, it's like lots of revolution. And just like us, it's kind of hard to see now who our main pillars are, other
Yeah.
than Kanye West, obviously.
Well,
But
yeah, I
like,
think that
it's
movie
fleeting.
it did a really good job of like time placing because it almost needed that because stuff is so like radical now. The
Yeah.
Velvet Underground maybe doesn't seem that out there musically, but they really needed to place you in the time of the 50s and 60s to say
Totally.
like, this is how crazy this was during this
Totally.
period of time and how abrasive it was during this period of time
That's
and how
actually-
dissonant it was with the rest of the stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
That's and now that I think about it, one of the most effective things that documentary did. Check out the new Velvet Underground documentary. But that's one of the most
It's sweet.
effective things it did. it immersed you in that world
Totally,
to
that
the
time
point
period.
where you're like, oh, of course this is the soundtrack. And like Joey was saying, by the time they show like halfway through the movie, they're like, by the way, here's what was going on in popular culture, and they start playing the Mamas and the Papas.
Yeah.
It's good, but it seems ridiculous.
Yeah,
It
I'm like,
seems
what is
so
this?
silly.
Well, even they transitioned not to a band or famous person that I could know, but just to like a soul group that was singing after they had done the meditation on the one note.
Yeah.
And you get into that stillness of like just that one resonance, and it pops you into the speed that you're like, God, this feels silly.
Yeah.
Like the speed of feeling and thought and motion that was going into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it also seemed so like, oh yeah, that's like the human thing that was going on that time. And I'm talking about the hum of the refrigerator and not like, it was all, it was
It's like,
all
what
so
are you
great.
overcompensating
refrigerator.
for? One note is enough.
They really
it
proved
does
that.
seem like
Yeah.
that. There's like some sort of, it feels like you need to do that to be entertaining or whatever.
The fact that they tuned to 60 hertz, which is the hum of the refrigerator and a lot of household appliances, and they're saying that that's the sound of Western civilization.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they start playing those like I think it probably was one note just modulated or something, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, this actually feels very. I'm like,
It feels musical somehow.
Yeah, it feels necessary probably.
They were quick on the trends, like that sound could be transcendent, which was
Right.
what we now have with a million sound baths and stuff. Like
Right.
we do have a collective awareness that sound can take you to different states of consciousness.
Well,
But-
we're all sound. We're just sound.
Yeah. And that actually our misconception of silence. Like when we think of silence, I was just watching this thing recently. It's like when you think of silence, actual silence drives people crazy. Like you've probably seen that room where there's absolutely no reverb. It's the quietest room. It drives people crazy. It's because you can start to hear your own heartbeat. You hear your thoughts. You have nothing to reflect off of. And like they were saying, the silence that really humans need, they have this misconception they need to be in quiet, when in reality the silence that they need is like the silence of the woods, where it's actually a symphony going on. And it can be crickets in the Amazon. It can be whatever, all of these sounds. But that's the silence that your body's used to. Ceremony, even chanting and all this stuff. It's like, is it music? Is it, part of ritual life? Like,
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is silence is actually an illusion. You can't even acquire silence.
Yeah,
in
because
this
you said with
lifetime.
a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even beyond perceivable sound, there are frequencies going on that you can't hear and perceive that are tuning you. Even when you're in a deprivation tank, you're like, there's so many spirits that you're tuning to around you.
Yeah.
Well, that's why it's so uncomfortable for people, like that room Joey's talking about. I don't know if it's true, but they say the longest anyone's ever been able to last in there is 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I really want to go in it.
You
I
start
would
hearing
do
your
that.
blood flow.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah, and people, it's a little much for people. I think meditation's a lot for people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait, you're telling me to sit in the fucking eye of the storm right now? Like, I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
I'm fucking putting shit into my addiction holes 24/7 to avoid.
Literally.
Not
Not even just addictions like any drugs or anything. Like people, things, even when you're
Music.
surrounded. Yeah, the symphony of the city is hella frustrating and very overwhelming. It's like that can take a hold of you. That's not the silence I always love, but
Well, I think a lot of times, like the maniacs, like we started talking about in this episode, need to hide, and they can't hide without our addictive tendencies and distracting and running away. They need to live in the darkness.
Yeah. Well,
Keep 'em under wraps.
Totally. Keep your maniac and addictive nature under wraps, which it's what most people are forced to do to get by in
Right.
Western civilization.
Right.
It's I think it's why you see so many people struggle, because it's like, fucking, I can't just be myself, which is a goddamn maniac.
Yeah.
I have to suppress this main urge in me, to appease everyone else.
I feel like we all have this inner maniac, and because that's what makes me most comfortable around people who embrace their inner maniac, because I feel like there's that they've come to terms with the dark and the light within them. Like, I was thinking about this earlier. I'm like, this is my favorite time of year. I'm not a big fan of Halloween. I'm not a big fan of spooky stuff, but there's something about bringing the darkness to the light that I love and makes me feel a lot more comfortable than like spring and Easter. I'm like, this creeps me out. Like, this is creepy. There's and like kind of watching Midsommar, like where it's all like butterflies and sunshine. It's like, we have a general awareness that there is darkness. So if you see the light, you're just not seeing the darkness. It doesn't mean it's not.
It's
there.
why LA creeps us out when we're there for more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, totally.
You're there
too
for more than
nice.
2 weeks. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, ugh. At least here, it's like a lot of times, like the climate and the weather is very reflective of just like the vibe, and it changes, and you can kind of program your being to deal with those things. In LA, it's just like 72 and sunny every motherfucking day. it's enough to drive a man insane.
I'm sure there's seasons there, hypothetically, but like even in Florida, it's like everyone thinks it's so warm all the time. It's like when you get to winter, like 50 degrees feels very cold, and you still have to and the sun feels different, looks different. The quality of light is different, and it's like you have to adjust to the weather pattern, or not even weather, just the climate in your body too. It's like in your mind. It's like, there's times of hibernation and depression. There's times of heightened, go crazy. If we ran at the same pace we did this summer all year, we'd be dead.
Oh, yeah. That was us honoring our inner maniacs.
Totally.
Like all of us were like, let's just be fucking maniacs all summer. Let's take acid every day.
Well, maybe that's something about silence, is that it's like a monotonous to it that could drive you insane, because we so crave diversity, and push off against different energies.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's how we're navigating everything, deciding what we want in the future and what we don't want in the future. You got to have data for that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
We need data points.
Data points. That's what we need.
We
probably need data points.
I mean, it's true. It's kind of what we're doing. Like what we were doing this summer, being around 1 million people all the fucking time, partying, taking acid every day. Like that was cool. It really worked for us. But it was also a data point for us to say, like, we can't do that right now.
No.
Like we can't burn at both ends during this season. This is like take care of yourself season. Like get your shit together.
We finally made it to the farmer's market yesterday, and I was so proud of myself. I was like, wow, this is...
Everyone was proud of us. We called up Mary. We were like, we're going to the farmer's market. She was like, oh my God. Yep, we're doing it.
I know you guys are proud to tell me too.
I know we were.
Really getting our shit together.
It's like every time you run, you call me up.
Oh, yeah.
We went running.
No big deal.
Just so you know.
No big deal.
I have a runner's high.
Just so you know.
Just so you know, mate.
About to go running. Be back in 20.
You know what? I did 25, sorry. Did an extra mile.
Running is definitely, I think, the number one way to slay that inner maniac, because it's like, you know how many times I've like gotten up angry in the morning, ready to write the email that will eviscerate someone's world and just fucking take control of something, and then I'm like, but first I'm gonna run for an hour. I come back, I'm a different motherfucker. I'm like a totally different motherfucker.
Hit the
Who
gym.
would never do that.
Problems all work out. Drake.
Yeah.
Literally, when
Drake.
Sorry. It's the only time I've ever quote him.
Songbird of our generation.
I'm... Love Drake. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
No, when I'm running, I literally feel my thoughts going behind me. Yeah. And then I also like to imagine that the angels are at my back pushing me. So it's like, it's pretty wholesome. Sweet.
Yeah, I used to tell people like I'm a full-blown murder case if I don't do cardio for 3 days. I think working out is like the number one thing you can do to change your mood and change your attitude. You'd be surprised. It doesn't have to be running. You don't have to run if you don't like running.
And
but some way to lose your lose your breath.
True.
Yeah.
Definitely coming.
That is a workout.
Is just probably more important. I think people should be more active during sex too. I was thinking that yesterday. Like, I'm kind of jealous that men, it's like always such a workout for you.
Oh yeah,
you love them. I like come out of sex like I fucking came out of a hot sauna.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I love it. I literally told Sean this morning. I was like, if you get tired, you can tell Mare. She can get on.
I don't get like tired. I don't care. Like, this is what I'm doing in lieu of running. This is fantastic.
I'm like, by the way, mate, I soaked your bed up. Sorry. Sorry. I hope you like it.
But yeah, it's hard to be mad when you work out.
No,
just like chemically, you just burn out that energy. And I think like for me, at least personally, like it makes you feel okay with having a body because you feel more in control of it. You feel strong in it. You feel powerful in it.
Yeah.
Life becomes a more exciting thing versus such a comfort or burdensome thing.
Totally. Know what I did this morning? I do this every morning. I make the shower so cold, and I realize that part of the reason that that's so good for me is because I'm getting I'm getting these kind of breaths, and I don't do that to myself. Like, I like to think that I would just get into breath work and do the whole thing.
To be forced.
I need to be forced.
Yeah. I had a vocal teacher really profoundly. I've had a few things that vocal teachers have said that just like I think about every day, but there was a period really early on when I was first studying vocal lessons, and it was all about breath. That she was like, you don't let yourself lose your breath totally. She's like, you're afraid of it. You're afraid to go all the way and like die for a note. She was like, and she was like equating it to like being white and stuff, which I loved. But like, yeah, I still think about it all the time. And like every time I'm singing to like just like go all the way until like, you know, you have nothing.
We gotta get
and this fear of like you have to have something to retain is such an interesting thing. But yeah.
We're going to have you sing Mutilated Lips and see if you can get through it in one
Yeah.
breath.
Yeah. Test my MC skills out.
Yeah.
I used to talk when I was a kid. I used to be able to talk breathing in, which I still can do, but not as well.
I can do that too.
I think I could do it.
I can breathe in. No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
It's like the didgeridoo. You got to figure out how to, you know, let notes out while you're not breathing.
That's a good, if anybody wants a good breath exercise, that's one of the first ones I did with Sean and Cass, where you breathe out. Here, I'm going to sound like a demon, so just bear with me.
It's perfect time.
This show is about rituals and seeing if you could find things to add to your ritual. This is a pretty good one. Besides running, we'll mention
tune your
this
frequency and raise your frequency. Yeah, no, sweating, sex, and breath work. Okay, so you do a breath out, and you want to hit the same note as you're hitting when you breathe in. It's hard.
Ready?
One more. Yeah, so it's really hard. And you just do that. You try and go maybe like 5 or 6 notes. You can start from the bottom, go to the top, or go to the top and go to the bottom. And we do it, in the sauna.
You're on the verge of passing out after doing
it.
Yeah, it's really good. And singing is really good, not only from like physically like breath support, but just the embracing of yourselves, and especially exercises like that where you're making ugly noises and you're just like having to be okay with not hitting the right note and then tuning yourself to the right note and having the bravery to do it and the self-acceptance to do it and like the encouragement to do it. Like that's life in a moment, you know?
Yeah.
Fucking talk about Manic Monday. We're doing it. Joey, you have a poem for each day this week that you're going to be with us this week?
Yes. It's a cold poem at first, you know, a cold start.
Okay, here's Joey. This is how we're going to close it out. And thanks for joining us on this Monday. If you want more from the Cosmic Quadrangle, me and Joey are doing podcasts called Boys Club on Patreon. Patreon.com/Church of Chill. You can find bonus episodes on. There's tons of content on there. Like you join the party now.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it.
So these are just some notes I had written down. Nothing is worse than your phone crashing right when you're about to read this.
Oh, that's a good poem.
Yeah.
Simple.
Nothing is worse than someone making you feel less than you are. Why do people do that? Why? You're amazing. Don't drag yourself home, grazing against the concrete like a nail being ground dull. Whatever it is, bottle it in. But then let it go. What makes you most insecure is there for a reason. It shows you what you need to work on. Your sore spot. That spot that hurts. You don't feel like you're enough, do you? But you know you are. You don't feel so special, but you truly are. You are special to the world. Sometimes it won't see it.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you,
Beautiful
Joey.
reading voice. Beautiful poem. Did you write that? Oh, damn. I love it. An original? That's beautiful.
All of these
OG.
might.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, y'all.
Yeah.
It's the come up. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.